So for our first circuit in this workout, we're gonna need a plate that we can elevate our heel off of. Okay, we're gonna be in a split stance, and we're gonna do a floating heel split squat. So back leg is long behind us. We're on just the toes and our heel floats. We're gonna drop down and back up, down and back up. When we add weights, we'll just hold dumbbells and or kettlebells right here, trying to move straight down and straight up. Really hitting the quad here and getting a big stretch in the back of this rear, or the front of the rear leg. Up and down, we're gonna get 10 to 12 on the left, 10 to 12 on the right. We're gonna move over here to the sled. Ideally, we're gonna have loops on the end of our straps. We're gonna loop our wrist, or our whole hand into the loop, and we'll wrap around so that the strap is holding us more than we're holding the strap. We don't wanna overpower this with our forearms, as we've talked about before. We'll sit back. We're gonna really get in a good hinge position. So I've got my butt back, I'm pushing my big toes into the ground, and I've got tension on the straps. We don't want the straps to have slack. They've gotta have tension, otherwise this won't work. Okay, I'm gonna brace my abs hard. I'm gonna stand and rip. I'm gonna be tall at the top, extending my arms. You should feel this in the back of the arms, the lats, and then also the hamstrings and glutes. Step back. This doesn't have to be fast. You want the move to be fast, but you don't have to reset fast. Again, getting long, stand, rip. Step back, get long, stand, rip. Trying to be powerful on that rip, but again, you don't have to move fast. So we're gonna try to do about 10 to 12 of the rips, as well as 10 to 12 here with the split squat. We'll add weight to this move. If you're gonna end up, you can go a little bit heavier, 8 to 10 reps, especially as we get later on into the set. When we come off that sled, we wanna rest about 2 minutes before we head back to the split squat, okay? So we got 10 to 12 here, 10 to 12 rips, rest 2 minutes. We're gonna do 4 rounds of that. Okay, for our second circuit in this workout, we're gonna have a seat really tall on a bench. We're gonna have light dumbbells. We're gonna lean forward a little bit. We're gonna get some momentum, clean, press overhead, back down. Lean forward, clean, press overhead. So when we do this motion, we wanna lean forward and use the momentum of a slight jerk back and then press up. So we're taking our legs out of the clean, and that is gonna require us to drop weight quite a bit. So we're gonna lean forward, clean, press up high, back down. Lean forward, core tight, clean, press up overhead. Lean forward slightly, clean, press overhead, okay? We're gonna do 12 reps there. After that, we're gonna grab a kettlebell. I do prefer that we use a kettlebell in this situation. We don't have to use a kettlebell. We can use a dumbbell if we need to, but a kettlebell is gonna help us with this small detail of starting forward towards the front of the leg. I'm gonna use that same bench here for a nice support. I've got my back leg flat on the ground, my front leg back on the ground, and I'm gonna reach forward. You can see how the weight is actually in front of my front foot, and I'm gonna take my arm, I'm gonna roll it back to my hip, I'm gonna take the weight back out. So I'm doing a big reach here. We call this a J row because I'm making the shape of a J, rolling the weight back to my hip. I'm pulling that shoulder and shoulder blade back as well. So a big row to the hip, and I replace and I touch the ground. I'm not in a hurry here. Big row, replace. Row, big long reach, replace. We're working on that lat being elongated and then working in that stretch position. So we're really reaching out there, trying to get out a little further each time. Make sure that you don't have a lot of body English here. The last move is gonna be an isometric core move. We're gonna hold the end of the bench. We're gonna get in a strong plank position here, and I'm gonna bring my right knee up, and I'm trying to bring my right knee to my chin, okay? I can push down into the bench, and I'm bringing my knee up as hard as I can. I'm pushing with this foot. I'm trying to turn on every single muscle in my body, and I'm gonna breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And I'm really pulling from down here, trying to get that knee up. I'll hold for 15 to 20 seconds. I'll shake it out, and I'm gonna go other side. So we're in this long isometric jackknife plank here. And I'm pushing hard from my feet, I'm pushing hard with my hands, and I'm pulling that knee up. Again, 15 to 20 seconds each side. This particular move is you get out of it what you put into it. So you can make this really easy. You can just stand there and hang out. The idea is to turn on every single muscle in your body. Drive that knee up there. When you think you're pushing as hard as you can, I want more. And you gotta constantly be trying to go harder, harder, harder. So again, we have a clean, seated. So again, starting a little forward lean position. All right, we're gonna do a little bit of swing back, catch, press overhead, back down, back to a lean forward, catch, press up overhead, lean forward. Make sure these abs are tight. We don't want to round the back and just be moving our spine. Our spine has a nice tall angle, okay? And the spine angle doesn't change, okay? The position of our spine is forward and backward, but the angle of the actual vertebrae stays the same, okay? Catch, press. The J-row. Nice big supported stance, reaching out far, rowing to the hip. Make sure we're not dumping that shoulder forward. Make sure we're pulling that shoulder blade back. And then we're gonna do our isometric jackknife. We're gonna hold for 15 to 20 seconds. Remember, you get out of it what you put into it, so go hard in the panel.
So for the last circuit in this workout, we're gonna need a med ball, physio ball works great, really anything works. We're gonna be putting it up against the wall, so make sure that you don't push it through the wall, or maybe use a cinder block wall if you have the ability to do that. I'm gonna use a balance beam here, because we have one. It's gonna increase the demand for our stability. A box works, any sort of elevated thing. You can use the plate you used earlier today, and that floating heel, you can use that same plate for this as well. We're gonna stand perpendicular to the wall, and I'm gonna squat down. My inside foot is gonna be on the beam. I'm gonna stand up, and I'm gonna reach the wall here up high, and I'm gonna use the beam to make sure that my legs stay stable. So we're working on a lot of hip stability here, a lot of adductor work going into this. The bigger your platform is gonna be, the more stable you're gonna be, so it's gonna be less demand for you. So if we were to bring down the intensity, we can get a bigger platform besides the beam, so a plate or a box would be fine. The other thing we can do, instead of coming way up here, we can come over here, and that works as well, okay? Doesn't really matter which way you put your hands, overhand, underhand, it doesn't necessarily matter. Make sure that you're not slamming this ball into the wall. We want the stability to happen here, specifically in the adductor group. Little squat, rotation. When you stand up, you need to make sure you find the big toe here of the leg that's working. So my right leg's working here. When I stand up here, my right big toe is really firing hard. I'm gonna come out of there, and I'm gonna go into a hip thruster. If you are able to add a barbell to this, that's great. If you want to add a dumbbell to this, that's fine. If you want to go no weight, that's fine. But what we're going to have is a B stance. And that's essentially doing a one leg hip thruster, but we're going to have the balance support of the other leg. So I'm going to have my left leg is my working leg. My right leg is going to be out, and I'm barely putting my heel down. So I get the benefit of balance, but I'm not really getting the work benefit of this left leg. So if I have a dumbbell, I'm going to put it on this left side. I'm going to lift up, again, making this right leg very light. It's just a kickstand. And I'm lifting my hips up, dropping my hips down. The edge of the bench is on the bottom of my shoulder blades, and I'm pivoting there as well as the hips. So when I'm up, my chest is facing up towards the ceiling. When I drop my hips down, I'm obviously hinging, and so my chest is going to face forward. Up and down. Notice how the spine angle, just like in those cleans earlier, stays the same. The position of the spine changes, but the angle at which it's bent does not change. It stays straight or neutral, whatever your word of preference is. Down and up. So we'll do 10 to 15 each side. If you can add the weight, let's drop the reps. At that point, we're going to do 180 jumps, working up into as much as 360-degree jumps depending upon your athletic ability. So if you're able to jump out the gym, if you're a young athlete training, let's try to use a 180 jump, but ramp up into a bigger jump, okay? So a 180 jump, you can start in an athletic stance, a little counter turn, jump up and around. Nice soft landing, 180 degrees, so basically the opposite direction of where you were or where your back was facing, okay? We'll reset, big jump. I'd love to try to get as high as we can when we do that jump. Again, to progress this, we try to go into a 3/4 jump, or maybe even a 360-degree jump, but ramp up into it. First set, get your feel for it. Second set, go a little more. Third set, go a little more than that, okay? We can keep ramping up. If jumping is not your jam, okay, we can also do a med ball slam. So we'll be here, take a big step, slam hard, okay? Come here, take a big step, slam hard and rotate. Square up, take a big step, and rotate. So we're still getting that rotation and that power, but we're not getting that impact. Whether that's because you're just uncomfortable jumping, you're not coordinated enough, your joints hurt, perhaps you have some pelvic issues, some pelvic floor issues, and maybe it kind of makes you go to the bathroom a little bit. It happens, I see it all the time. Whatever your reason is for not wanting to jump, it's okay, we have a solution. But if you are jumping, if you are interested in jumping, if you are able to, I really encourage you to go to that jump. So, we're gonna do the adductor step up. We're gonna do 8 to 10 each side. Take your time, make sure you're engaging that adductor and that core. When you get up to the top, push into that wall. We have our B stance hip thruster. Okay, so we'll do 8 to 10 each side. Try to load it if you can. Okay, then we're gonna go either to our 180 jumps all the way up to 360 jumps if you can, or we'll do our rotational med ball slams where we step and pivot, slam down as hard as you can. Again, with that, it's gonna be max power. So jump as hard as you can, as high as you can, around as far as you can, slam that ball as hard as you can if you're gonna take that regression. No problem at all there. Have fun, kids.